Ahoy, it's Bryan Peterson with PPSOP.cz, and I'm here to share with you a very basic electronic flash tip. That tip is very simply this, that you should get in the habit of trying different angle of views when lighting your subject with your flash. It's what I call rock around the clock or flash around the clock. You're going to be taking 4 photographs from this point forward when you're shooting still lifes or portraits with your flash at 12, 3, 6, and 9. That's what this exercise is all about, but let's understand what's happening here. I'm in a park. I'm utilizing my VAL, as we call this in English, a voice-activated light stand, Patrick, who happens to be from Slovakia. And he, of course, is somebody that you're all familiar with, a hell of a photographer and the running operator of PPSOP.cz, so you're going to see him a whole bunch. I've also just released a new flash book in the Czech language called Bryan Peterson's Guide to Understanding Electronic Flash, which is available through the Zoner Press people and is found at bookstores throughout the Czech Republic. Finally, we've got what makes all this possible, the beautiful model Megan. What we're going to do very simply is to take a portrait of Megan here in the park with one flash, but at 4 different points. And here's the other thing we got to keep in mind. I am going to kill the ambient exposure. It's a real simple setup. I've got her up against a tree. I'm going to be shooting the who cares aperture, in this case of f8. I refer to 8, 9, 10, and 11 as the who cares because when depth of field is not an issue, who cares what aperture I use? So, with that in mind, I'm killing ambient. I'm f8, and the ambient exposure says f8 at a 15th, but I'm going to shoot f8 at a 160th of a second, which clearly will underexpose the ambient light. With that in mind, and Patrick is going to be quite close, I've had to power the flash down considerably. Instead of full power at f8, I'm going to be approximately 1/16th power at f8. So with that in mind, f8 at that particular distance at 16th power is about 2.5 feet. So let's get started. We begin with a side-lit scene here, and I take this particular photograph like so, and take a look at the first photograph. Now notice what happens next with Patrick. Patrick, come around. We're going to have the flash from underneath. 6 o'clock light. I refer to this oftentimes as campfire lighting. It's as if we're all sitting around a campfire, and you're bringing the light up from underneath, and take a look at that 6 o'clock photograph. Now we come in at 9 o'clock, and again, why do we have to side light the subject from both sides? Simply because the person's face sometimes is better lit at 3 than it is at 9, or better lit at 9 than it is at 3. And the one way to find out is to light it both. So, take a picture there, and finally we finish up at high noon. High noon is as if the photograph is being made by a spotlight that's above the person, perhaps coming out of a ceiling, and sure enough, we fire and take a look at that. Look at all 4 photographs up on the screen right now, and what do you notice? 4 completely different looks of our model Megan. Not surprisingly, one of them, maybe 2 of them is your favorite, one of them, 2 of them is not your favorite. The point being that you've covered your bases, so when you get the model in front of you, or the child, or the parents of the child, or the parents themselves, and they have to make a selection, you have given them more than adequate coverage, and you look like the hero. You look like somebody who has covered all of the angles. You look professional, and that's what it's all about. Hey, just a simple flash idea coming to you from PPSOP.cz. This is Bryan Peterson reminding you, you keep flashing, and you keep shooting.